And welcome everyone to episode 7 of How Many House Cats. My name is Calvin. That's Parker Scott over there, and this is Mr. Jon Mosher, our guest for today.
Welcome, John.
Mr. Mosher.
Brother
you,
in
boys.
arms, good buddy.
Thank you, boys. for
Glad to
having
have
me
you on, man.
This will be an interesting time. I usually try to avoid cameras.
Oh yeah, you're camera shy a little bit, are you?
Oh yeah. I'm behind the scenes.
Get a couple more of those beers in you, buddy.
Oh, yeah,
You'll forget about that.
Just my social lubricant came pretty fast.
Your singing voice.
Your singing voice. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, once you, Parker and I've talked about this a couple times. Once you have the mic in front of you, it kind of creates a little bit of a different dynamic.
Definitely.
But things start flowing. You know, you get into it.
No, for sure.
How was everyone's day?
John, go ahead.
Another fucking week done, boys.
Yeah.
One more move to do, and I'm fully moved in and done.
Yeah,
Relax.
John just moved.
Where'd you move from?
I was right downtown. I moved in kind of north of Chinook there.
Ah, okay.
No one look at my address.
Yeah, we have a lot of viewers that are very good with technology, so you're
I
screwed.
forgot
Actually,
this is going on the internet. I don't need to dox myself. I mean, I'm going up to Saddletown.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, no, I helped you move last Saturday there, and holy fuck, that was a big day, man. We moved 2 full U-Haul trucks in plus 30 heat. It was a big day, man. I was fucking tired. After that.
I really wish we weren't doing it plus 30 heat, but you know what? It may have a thunderstorm tomorrow, so you pick your poison, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Or just be stuck doing both days.
Yeah.
So we've got the we've got the effects today.
Hell yeah.
The soundboard purchase has been made. This was mentioned on one of the previous episodes.
It was, last episode we were talking about
this
it.
was something that we would need, and I got paid this week, so it was time to go ahead with the soundboard. Oh, this man.
I am now sophisticatedly. Well, let me tell you, boys, I am wet.
Yeah, you are. Hey,
yeah.
that's how you start the evening, though, right? You know, you get off work Friday, spill a little beer on the shirt. That's how you know you're
This
getting
is
into
quite
gear.
an impressive spread I got going on.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good.
Oh fuck, man.
Yeah.
Very good for Gowan.
It's really gonna be hard not to overuse because I have in front of me 19 sounds that I've curated for the episode. I don't think they're all gonna get used, but I'm definitely gonna have to bring out a couple of them because I showed you a few yesterday. The ones I got today, I've got like three new ones in here that are gonna be prime.
Fuck yeah.
I just know they're
Some
gonna be
new
good.
ones.
I just gotta wait for a good time to use them
new
as
to
a
the
punchline,
ears.
you know.
Yeah.
The true challenge is, during this podcast, can we get all 19?
So Calvin, I want to share with the viewers something new I learned about you the other day.
Yeah.
So I went to your apartment for the first time yesterday.
This is true.
You have a fucking slot machine
The
in your apartment.
Baby angel,
The baby angel, bro.
Yeah,
like a
dude.
fully like fucking analog slot machine with the cylinders and everything. And
Yeah.
dude.
So that's actually it was a gift, I guess you could say, from my great aunt, my grandma's sister. Her husband supposedly brought it back from Vegas like way back when. I don't know the year, but it's quite old. And yeah, it's a straight up, we got the tokens for it. You plug the thing in and satisfy your gambling addiction from the safety of your own home.
Yeah, dude.
It's really fun. You can, do like drinking games with it.
Right.
You can, and it's also fun. Like once you start hitting it, like you get that like serotonin.
You get that
you
boost.
get that feedback
Yeah.
that you get at the casino. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh shit,
You're
dude,
just
the
not
baby
200 two down.
So those tokens that the baby angel takes, it is like, it looks like a quarter. Does a quarter work as well?
I've not attempted to put money in it.
Right. That's fair. That's probably good practice.
The tokens. Did you see the jelly bean dispenser that we had too?
No, I missed that.
That was sitting on top of the slot machine.
Really?
Yeah, man. We have like a something you'd see in like a old candy store. It's like the candy red body with like the glass thing up at the top, and you put nickels into it and twist, and it gives you like 6 jelly beans. It's dangerous to have around though.
How are my fucking observational skills? I was sitting at that slot machine for 20 minutes, didn't know there was a fucking jelly bean dispenser.
They're pretty minimal.
Yeah.
Minimal observation, but you notice the slot machine. That's what matters.
Big shiny lights. Parker can't resist.
Yeah, that's right.
The baby angel is also immensely Japanese. I'm sure we can find an image of the baby angel to throw up.
I can dig into that
in the editing process, but it's like something you'd see out of like an old like Tokyo arcade kind of thing. It's pretty fun. The thing I have noticed though is that I don't actually think you can hit it at a certain time to increase your odds of winning. It's just you hit it and it automatically picks a spot for you.
Oh, interesting.
Lands on a certain spot regardless of the time that you hit it. I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's interesting though, because when you hit the button, it does feel that it's like pretty well instant, right? When you hit the button, and that cylinder's only spinning so fast, right?
I think it's spinning fast enough that it's really hard to pick up any kind of delay that it puts.
Definitely.
In.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could be wrong, but Yeah, man.
God, man.
That thing must be old because it's using tokens still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know last time got tokens at a casino.
Yeah, the thing's wicked, man.
Yeah, I've never hit slots before. That was my first time yesterday, and I don't plan on ever hitting a slot machine at the casino or a VLT or anything because it's just...
Well, I mean, when you can hit the baby angel, why would you? That sounds awful. When you can hit I take that one back. When you can hit the slot machine in my house,
there's enough context back here.
Yeah, but it's also the internet, Like,
I get. But yeah, no, those slots are.
Well, you can take it back all you fucking want. It's still out there.
It's out there.
It's too late now. Editing can't save this.
True. You can beep that out.
Yeah. Please, note to self.
We'll get that removed promptly.
No, I've only used the slots once when I've been at the casino.
Mm-hmm.
I went and saw Jeff Foxworthy and Grey Eagle there. And when you're out there, there's only one way in or out. So the big crowd, you just go in and gamble for a bit.
Right.
I hit it I hit 5 rolls, won $200. I haven't touched it since.
Really?
That's how you get.
You're in the fucking
right
green, eh?
Yeah. You're only as good as your last round, and I'm fucking killing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
So we've got a wide array of topics. I mean, firstly, do we have anything to address from last episode? Any fact checks, anything like that?
So I remember we were talking about what was it? Is the birthday paradox thing?
Yes.
The 23 people.
Yeah.
And I think it was just we didn't go into it enough at the time. But what it is, it's not like you're in a room with 23 people and there's a better than 50% chance that somebody in the room has your birthday. What it is that all 23 people compared against all of each other, 2 people in the room will have a birthday.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's still, it doesn't seem intuitive at the start,
right? But I mean, there's like 200 comparisons.
Yeah.
If you
that's
between all 23 people.
That's
so
the
scientifically,
cool
it makes sense, right? Mathematically.
Yeah. It's just right off the bat. It's like, oh, how does that work?
Yeah.
It's cool. Thank you for.
Bruh.
Thanks for.
I know how much you love my corrections, Calvin. You mention it weekly.
Yeah, man.
Well, the whole birthday thing, isn't it? I really wish I remembered this number now, but it's a very low number from the first human to us now. How many generations it's been?
Right.
Like it's a really ridiculously low number.
Yeah, it's less than 1,000, isn't it?
I think it's less than 100.
Is it really less than 100 generations?
They can fact check this for next episode.
Since like Homo sapiens, because I mean, like you got to remember we evolved from like algae, right, in the fucking ocean. So
I think it's
what's Gen Zero here?
Yeah.
Once we became thinking monkeys after the Stone Age,
right? Like
Oh,
once
he's
we
bringing
built
up Stone
fire,
Ape.
it's
Okay.
been less than
All
100
right.
generations.
We have a stoned ape believer in the house.
Word.
All right.
Are you pretty skeptical of the stoned ape theory?
I think it may have played a part, but I think it's almost impossible to prove.
Yeah, there's definitely.
yeah,
it's just a thinking.
Yeah,
a
I
theory,
can
right?
understand it as a speculation
Yeah.
and go that is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not like that's probably the way.
Yeah.
It's done. I'm a little, because when you look at the time scales that things can evolve, it's not that much of a stretch. I mean, dolphins haven't taken psychedelics and they're pretty smart.
Yeah. Same with crows.
Yeah, octopi haven't eaten mushrooms and yet they still dream at night and have emotions. There's things like that I think
there may be psychedelic plants in the ocean.
there are definitely psychedelic plants in the ocean. One of the kinds of DMT, can't remember which one it is. It's from like a sea sponge. So maybe they could be eating stuff in the ocean, I guess.
Yeah, who knows?
I think it's pretty unlikely.
Yeah. John, have you watched My Octopus Teacher on Netflix?
No, I'm very bad at Netflix.
Word.
Before we go on to the next thing, since Google does not lie,
Let's see.
it's 300 generations. From the
Since
first
when?
Well, 300 generations is presuming every 20 years is a new generation
20 years.
300 generations. Okay.
of being of humans, I guess.
And like you said, I wonder what Gen Zero is like.
Yeah.
Like where do we put that? Because it's a smooth transition, right? Where are we putting that marker?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Like, is it when we made fire? Is it when we grabbed a fucking stick and hit somebody with it? I don't know.
I bet you it's based off of our earliest evidence of a genetic match of what Homo sapiens are today.
Interesting.
That's my guess would be that's
Yeah.
what it is, because that's the only real way we can quantify it. But I actually think we're very wrong. You and I have gone into this. I think we're very wrong about the origins of humanity. So that number could be plus or minus hundreds.
You're telling me Google's going to lie to me? Google never lies.
Google never lies ever.
Word.
But sorry,
That's
Dr. Octopus?
Oh,
Dr.
My
Octopus.
Octopus Teacher.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's just a movie about it's a documentary about an octopus, and it's very, very interesting. Me and Calvin have both watched it, so I figured I'd ask.
They're falling in the wild, or where are they?
Yeah, this guy develops a relationship with an octopus, and it's reciprocal, right? Like the octopus is like saying what's up to this dude every time he hops in the water. It's a pretty cool film. Yeah.
Did you just say guy and dude, Parker?
Yeah, I
Please
think so.
do not use gendered language.
Oh, word.
We're on 4 or 5 now.
You may continue.
Okay. Did you just say guy and dude? Well, yeah.
Yeah, man. Octopus Teacher, the guy, he kind of.
Hey, did you just say man?
I said the guy.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah.
Please do not use gendered language.
He goes through this kind of transformative experience, I guess you could say, from his interactions with this octopus. I mean, he goes out every day for like a year and comes in contact with this thing, and they develop kind of like a trusting relationship. And he kind of walks through the whole thing and talks about, his reflections and what he realizes about himself through the process and how it affects the relationships in his life. And it seems like, it's just an octopus, but they're extremely intelligent beings and show, signs of emotion and grieving and, things like that make it like a very relatable species. So.
No, it's always truly impressive when you look into the wild and see how intelligent animals are that you don't think.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also like, it's maybe not the same thing. I saw a video of some guy was able to handle a crocodile like the crocodile won't. Well, he was apparently well fed because he wasn't trying to eat the guy, but he's able to do stuff with him. And the crocodile had some resemblance, like, oh, this is my human.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is
that is
friend,
cool.
not food. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust those dinosaurs for very long.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love those videos of like when they release like apes back into the wild. They come out of the cage and they like walk out and they look around and then they turn back and they just give hugs to the people that took care of them.
Oh,
it's like,
man. Yeah, that hits deep.
It's so heartwarming, man. Yeah, and then when like people when they encounter these animals again, like 5 years down the road or whatever, they're like in the area, and like the monkey will recognize them and just lose its mind.
Yeah, dude, I've seen some videos like that where the fucking
like the little monkey that gets reunited with its parents, and it's like on the ground.
It runs up and like jumps and hugs.
The full leg too.
Yeah,
goes for the triangle.
It goes for the triangle. Interesting thing, I took John to a jujitsu fucking thing. How long ago was that? Like 8-9 months ago, something like that. It was a while ago.
Wasn't that it was either it's around Christmas before. Or
it was just before Christmas. It would have been. But me and Calvin have been wrestling quite a bit or whatever. So
I want to go to the dojo, man.
Yeah, bro.
I've never been humbled so fast in my life.
Oh, dude, it's unreal.
I
right?
fought like with my weight, like. I ain't a gigantic guy, but I ain't small. And, like, Barker's able to hold his own, which has been my kind of signal I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And then they threw me to the wolves to a couple purple belts, and I was getting thrown around like I was a fucking sack of feathers.
And these fucking purple belts are like 125 pounds, and they're just fucking ragdolling John around like...
I felt so emasculated. I was like, I'm helpless.
You get used to it though. Like when I first started going, like the first few times I was rolling with these like 14-year-old girls, and they were just fucking ragdolling me. I was like so embarrassed, right? But it's like anything. You get used to it. It's like, hey, they have more experience. Like that's just how it goes, right?
With something as technical as that, too, you don't need the weight.
Yeah.
Truly, if the heavier you are, I think the harder it is going to be for you to learn how to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's not about weight. Like boxing's like technique, but if you're strong, you're big, you got a lot of weight behind like a punch there. But like jiu-jitsu, it's all about like the proper technique, because you can use their own momentum against them, and it's once they're on the ground, all that weight doesn't do you jack shit.
Yeah.
So.
I know I can use it when we've wrestled. I've definitely used it to my advantage a couple of times. If I have like a very advantageous position over top of you, I can just like let some weight come down onto your chest and start pushing some arrow to your lungs, and it just like it doesn't get you finishes, but you can use it for things like that.
Oh, dude, it helps. It's
where
huge.
You're like, oh fuck, this guy's heavy, man.
Strength and weight are huge. Like they're massive. But like John said, like, there's an advantage to being disadvantaged, right? If you have no musculature and you're 120 pounds and you go to the gym, you're going to be the guy that's learning technique the quickest, because if you're not using proper technique, nothing works, right? So
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Word. So Parker, you've got something for us.
I think you got something first, Calvin.
You think I got something first?
Yeah, you were telling me, the brief little description about it yesterday. You said you had a little more.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull this up because this stuff is wild and doesn't even seem real. Let's pull this up. So this is the story of Nasubi. Also, his real name is Tomoaki Hamatsu. This is a do you know about this?
I think I might know who this is.
All right, so this is a Japanese man that was a part of a game show. Very interesting. Parker, what's going on with the mic there, man?
Oh, I just need to adjust it. It's in a really bad spot.
What in reverse, Tim? What in reverse? Oh, Lord!
Yeah. So, anyways, Nasubi, he was part of this game show that they didn't really tell him, like out of this, group of how many people, they didn't really tell him what was going on in the game show. But like one person was getting picked. They all entered. Nasubi was the guy who got picked, and he was very excited about that, because it was like, oh yeah, he's the winner of this game show, gets to do some cool stuff, promised like fame, and he was a struggling stand-up comedian, so he did think that was going to be his kind of boost into fame, and it didn't really work out that way. They took this guy they put him in an apartment. The organizers of the game show, they put him in an apartment in isolation where he couldn't leave. They asked him to take off all of his clothes and give their clothes, give his clothes to the organizers, and then gave him like thousands of mail-in magazine sweepstakes to win things.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the only way for him to eat, to get materials, anything for entertainment other than just an empty room with nothing in
Right.
it. And so he started entering these sweepstakes, right away, and you can kind of see his behavior at the start is kind of eccentric. I should add his way out of this. So they said you can leave the apartment once you've won the equivalent of $8,000. It was like some millions of Japanese currency,
right?
But, essentially the equivalent of $8,000 worth of goods.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can come out and you'll be famous. And so, because he thought this would be his break, he went along with it. And I mean, it's essentially just like it's almost torture, honestly, like what he ended up going through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was pretty hungry for a while. He had no clothes. He never got clothes. In his 15 total months of being in said apartment, he received one piece of clothing, and it was a small pair of used women's underwear.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so
what type we talking about?
What's that?
What type we talking, like granny panties?
Oh, like thonged up. Yeah.
Oh, shit. The dog was thonged up. Son.
Yeah, cheeked up. I mean, they didn't even get on him, they're too small. And he first won he won a bike, but he couldn't use it because he was in his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But he found a way to rig it into a stationary bike, which he used as entertainment to keep him busy.
Right.
He didn't have any cookware, and so when he won a bag of rice, he had no way to cook it. But he then started putting the rice into these empty Jello packs, basically, that he had also won, and did a lot of very ingenuitive stuff to keep himself eating. They sent in a doctor after about 3 months because he was extremely skinny,
right?
And they at one point, when he ran out of rice, this is kind of the thing that makes me think some foul play was involved with winning the sweepstakes that were getting delivered. He just won dog food after that for 3 months, and he had almost no other food, and he essentially survived on dog food for 3 months in this apartment, eating dry dog pellets.
Ugh.
Yeah, and it's so messed up. Finally won some more rice, got little things here and there along the way, and over time, his nails were super long. He was gaunt. He hadn't brushed his teeth in 6 months. Just had none of this stuff. He had nothing, right? And after 8 months or something like that, they took him to a different apartment for some for better luck or something.
Right.
Which it worked, but I really do think it was for the sake of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And people also were learning where he was living, and so there was paparazzi and people trying to get inside, and so they had to move him. He won a few more things there. Eventually, after I want to say it was just before the 12-month mark, he won. He got his $8,000 of stuff completed.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it should be added that they switched to live streaming this. So they were just airing the recordings of this for the game show on Sunday evenings. They switched to a 24-hour live stream at a certain point. And he got a video game console. He got a PlayStation at one point. And the fact that he was being live streamed 24/7 and he had a PlayStation technically does make him the first ever video game streamer.
Damn.
Yeah, he beat Twitch by about 9 years.
Damn.
So
bro.
Yeah, he was the first ever. Anyways, he went through all of this, finally won. They took him to an amusement park in Korea. to celebrate. And then they put him back in an apartment in Korea and told him to take his clothes off again and said, "You've got to win enough money for a plane ticket back to Japan." Yeah, super,
What
like psychological fuckery. Like it's brutal, honestly. Like it's so messed up. And there's a lot more to this. Like the Wikipedia page is pretty significant. It's really messed up. He eventually, I mean, he was getting good at the sweepstakes at this point. Like he was filling out so many. It only took him a couple more months to get the money for the plane ticket back. To put the like icing on the cake, when they brought him back to Japan, they took him and put him in a fake apartment, and it was in like an auditorium. They blindfolded him and brought him in and modeled an apartment inside to look like the ones he had been in, and then put him in there. And when he got in, he thought he was just doing it all over again, and so he took all of his clothes off. Yeah, and he's sitting there, and then they tear down the walls of this little mock-up apartment, and there's like 400 people in this auditorium, you know, like waiting to see this guy that they've watched on TV for the last 15 months.
Holy
and
shit!
He's like sitting there naked on the middle of the stage, just like, what the fuck is happening right now?
That's unreal,
dude. It's so messed up, man.
Whoa.
Like, it's so. After after that whole thing happened, I mean, the producer has no regrets, of what happened. The producer was very happy with it. The production team thought it went great. It's the highest ever grossing show in Japan. It has more views. It was getting more views every weekend than the highest viewed episode of Game of Thrones ever.
That's wild.
It was immensely followed. After the whole thing ended, he struggled with social anxiety. Obviously, when you have no contact with anyone for 15 months, when you've not spoken to a person in over a year, you're gonna have some problems.
Yeah.
He was pretty messed up from it, but he did recover, and has actually led a pretty good life since then.
Has there been any interviews with him?
A number. Yeah. He was, he provided support, during COVID-19 for, people struggling with isolation. He did some videos and some talks and, different presentations, because of his own experience with extreme isolation and, trying to help people.
Damn.
Japan has a, very interesting culture around isolation. There's like an alarmingly high percentage of the population that it has a name. I can't remember what it is, but people who live as hermits essentially and don't leave their apartments by choice. And it's like way, way, way more common than anywhere else in the world.
Really? In Japan?
I don't know the name either, but I don't even know if they leave the apartment now because of like Amazon or whatnot. They can just order everything to their door.
Yeah. You don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah. Back in the day, they probably leave once a month. They can pack enough stuff in the freezer and whatnot, but they don't leave the apartment. They work, they sleep, and they just
They just live at home. Wow, I couldn't imagine.
Oh, and the apartment be like about the same size as kind of from the fridge. Yeah, like tiny. Like you've got like I've seen pictures of some of these apartments, and they're like. You'd have like a bed right there, like that little space, and then like a little area out front where, you have like a couple things, maybe like a small desk, and like one window and like a little toilet in the corner. And that's it. I've seen some apartments in Japan, they don't even have a toilet in the apartment. There's a communal toilet and shower. Yeah. Which is it's just wild. Like, it's like living in university residence for your entire life. It's not good, man.
Damn, man, that's heartbreaking that people do that by choice.
It's a very...
or is it like a disorder?
Oh, maybe it's a disorder, but the one I saw that did it, he was a game developer. He was working nonstop to work on his game.
Right.
He thought this is the next big thing, so I'm going to work on this day and night and not have any distractions. Okay. You hope it turns out well for him because there's years upon years of his life and just like the experiences you're missing, like the people you're missing. Like,
no doubt.
The name for them is hikikomori, which is Japanese for pulling inward and being confined.
Right.
Also known as acute social withdrawal, is the total withdrawal from society and seeking extreme degrees of social isolation and confinement. It refers to both the phenomena in general and the recluses themselves. They've been described as loners and modern-day hermits. Estimates suggest that 500,000 Japanese youths have become social recluses, as well as more than 500,000 middle-aged individuals. So over 1 million people in Japan are living like that in complete and utter social isolation. It's a big, like, this is the Wikipedia section on this culture.
That is lengthy.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, it has impacts on their economy. It has impacts on neighborhoods and everyone's social life, not just the people hermiting.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a very bizarre thing, and I think the extreme technological advancement has really allowed for that. It kind of opened up the door.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For that,
like you could definitely pull that off nowadays anywhere in the world. You could definitely pull that off here if you were so inclined.
It's very I think culturally unaccepted here, though.
That's true.
Like our reaction to it is very strong.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, that's crazy. Whereas there, I mean, Japan has a lot of people, but I mean, over 1 million. That's like, it has to be socially acceptable to some extent in order for that to be the case, right? Sure. Here, it's technically you could do it, but like my parents, man, they'd like come and drag my ass out of that.
Oh
apartment. And I'd be like, no way you're doing this. I'm not letting that happen to you. But I mean, I guess technically you could do it.
It's physically possible.
You're starting to push towards that way because there's a lot of people. If COVID expedited this, where work from home's a standard thing. I know.
Yeah.
Both my parents work from home. They have no intention of going back. Like some days, I don't think my parents actually go outside.
That's interesting.
And it's like, unless they literally, if they didn't have the dog, they wouldn't go outside. I know there's now people that if I wanted a job in Toronto back in the day, I would have to go live in Toronto. Now, give me a laptop, I can work anywhere around the world.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, stopping you from
downtown Calgary has extremely high vacancy rates.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know, I know quite a few people personally that work remote.
It's uncomfortable, man. I worked in some of those buildings, and you're like walking through just empty floor after empty
really
floor.
It's wild.
Wow.
Where I notice the most is I can drive Glenmore pretty much any time of the day as long as there's an accident. There's no traffic.
Yeah,
it's like beforehand there's a time between like 3 and 6. You couldn't take that. Like Deerfoot, don't even get me started. Is like
Deerfoot's still bad. Yeah.
Oh, Deerfoot, because there's so many people going to like Okotoks, they're going to like Airdrie.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want to live inside the city.
Yeah, but if Stony Trail didn't exist, Deerfoot would be unusable because that pulls off everyone from that edge of the city, and they're able to use that ring road and go around. That wasn't there, man. Yeah. Deerfoot, not.
Yeah, Deerfoot's
it's bumper cars out there, man. It's a contact sport.
Dude, 5 p.m. northbound on Deerfoot. Don't even fucking get me started, dude. It's miserable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. You're not making it out clean.
No.
Like no way.
No, you're definitely going down to at least maximum fucking 10K.
Yeah.
You're not going any faster than that for at least one part.
We say that, and then this is like the entire city of Los Angeles every hour of the day.
That's true. Yeah, you go for a drive at 3 a.m. in LA on a fucking Tuesday, and it's like bumper to bumper. Could you imagine that?
I couldn't, man. I mean,
imagine going for a drive
traffic,
at 3 a.m. and being in traffic. That'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah. I don't think I could do that, honestly. I feel like that would really wear me down. Did you know that the average human spends about 6 months of their life sitting at red lights?
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Kind of horrifying.
It's kind of fucked up, but I mean, I guess it's
a long time, dude.
That's the average.
It's the average. Yeah, man.
Some poor fucker out there's got a year.
Some dude spent a quarter of his life at red lights.
Yeah, dude, definitely. Oh my god. But I mean, I guess that's the price you pay for safety.
Yeah, Yeah, I guess, and also, I mean, there are worse things than sitting at a red light. You know,
Yeah.
it seems like a waste of time, but like you got your music going, you stomp,
Yeah.
hit some moves, and then you can go back to driving.
Yeah.
I don't hate them. It's just when you think of that overall span of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of time. I mean, well, how much time in your life do you spend just driving in general? Like, I mean, that's a lot of fucking time.
Like, there's at least
It is.
an hour of my day every day I'm driving.
Oh yeah,
Easy.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's more. I had a great point and I blanked.
Oh, I
That's
mean, the
okay.
average person probably spends 3+ years of their life.
Have you ever had a dream that
That you had.
you want.
It's okay. See,
you
it
could
happens
do
to him
so-
too. You're good, man.
You want him to do you so much you could do anything.
Anything. Yeah, baby.
That is a long fucking clip,
Yeah,
dude.
that was a very long clip. What I was going to say is currently, that's a long time to be sitting at the red light because my current AC in my vehicle is the 270, which is 2 windows down, 70 kilometers an hour.
Oh yes.
My
okay.
AC is dog shit.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Especially with this plus 30.
Yeah.
Once it gets above like 25, it's like, well,
Yeah.
windows are going down. I can't cool this baby down anymore.
I've got fucking Canada spec AC. It's like, it's just barely enough to get you by in the summer in Canada. Like if I was in Texas, my car, like the AC
Done.
does not cut it. It's just barely enough.
Yeah,
My AC doesn't work at all.
Oh really? No AC?
I can get it to a nice crisp 25 degrees in my car.
Yeah.
My-
Calvin, did you just buy a new car?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
How has it been trying to search for it? Because I've heard it's a
Awful.
absolute
Awful.
nightmare.
It's been like 6 car dealerships and tons of ripoffs, salesmen blatantly lying to my face about
Right.
prices. It's been a tremendous challenge to this point. But there was one really awesome sales lady that I dealt with. It was the first one that I went to. And I told her, I'm like, I gotta see what else is out there. But we'll talk maybe down the road. And after looking, it's been like 2 months. And like, it's just, everything has fell through. I mean, the used market is, it's so hyperinflated right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not worth it. But if you want new, you're waiting 6 months. But for me, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm like, I want warranty. Gotta wait. So
You're tired of the Buick, eh?
well, I mean, the Buick is. I don't think it's doing a full winter. It's,
Oh, yeah?
it's at 300,
It's at the end of its
over
lifetime.
over 300,000 kilometers.
Right.
Suspension's pretty gone. AC doesn't work, like I said. It's got a span of things. It's so high mileage that it's a time bomb, you know. And I don't want to be in that position where I'm driving to work one day and all of a sudden something goes, I break an axle or whatever, and then I'm stuck, without a vehicle, and then I gotta buy used at that point because I need a vehicle like right then. It's like more about preventing that. So I don't mind the Buick, but for my own safety, I gotta go with something newer, like pretty quick. It's definitely reaching the end of its life.
No fair.
Yeah, man.
One quote I worked with this guy and was doing scaffolding. He's done a bunch of different jobs. I'm gonna donate the.
Yes.
You motherfucker.
You're going to have to be quicker than that, buddy.
I want my.
quicker than that, buddy.
But I worked a guy scaffolding, and he's saying, he's done a bunch of jobs. He sold cars. He's worked scaffolding. He's sold drugs. Between selling drugs and selling cars, he felt worse selling cars because you're really just stealing.
Oh,
someone's
yeah,
stole.
definitely. In terms of what's ethical.
And he's telling me the one place he worked was pretty good for being a car dealership. So it's wild.
Yo,
It's a
can
dirty
you
business.
Hold on to your microphone. Put it where you want. Parker, what were you gonna tell us, man? I'm dying to know because you've hinted multiple times at like having something
Oh, yeah.
that you were gonna bring up.
Yeah, so
I want to know. I don't. I
All
mean,
right.
I'm not trying to cut the conversation
Yeah.
short, but it's itching me.
It's itching you?
It's itching
So
me.
I do want to spend a considerable amount of time on this.
Yeah, man.
Do you think, what time is it? 7:15 thereabouts?
Yeah, word.
Do you want to take a quick break before?
Yeah, sure, man.
All right.
I'm down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Deep dive.
Yeah, do a little deep dive.
I love deep dives.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right
Lord
back,
have
folks.
mercy, I'm about to bust.
All right.
All right, see you in a bit.
You gotta be quicker than that, buddy.
We're back.
We made it.
We did.
We're back.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah,
to
I've
be-
got
need to be
something. I've got something to share. Yes, that's we're booting up the knowledge. Yeah. So I've become very invested in a subject this past week, and that subject is orbital mechanics / astrodynamics.
Oh boy.
And so I thought I'd just kind of share what I've learned about our
guy has a fucking
solar
notebook.
system.
Oh,
Guy has a notebook.
He's got the
He's supposed to bring a
notebook.
notebook.
Yes, sir.
I did not come prepared.
This is what the fuck did that just say?
Bing chilling.
Being chilling.
Chilling.
No, this is the first appearance of the notebook on the podcast. If you're wondering, John.
You knew I was coming on.
Yeah.
You were worried. I was making jokes. I was making notes of what I wanted to talk about.
So yeah, fucking the solar system. Gotta love it. You know.
Hit me, Papa.
So most people understand that what we know about the solar system is a drastic oversimplification of what's actually going on out there. You know, all the planets have a distance from the sun and orbital period, right? And you know those are true, but you know what we don't really talk about is how much our solar system evolves and changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll just start off with the basics of orbital mechanics, astrodynamics. These are the Kepler's laws of planetary motion. So all orbits are ellipses with the barycenter at one of the foci, which is, you know, so like the center of the orbit is at one of the focus points of the ellipse, right? The second law is that a line joining the body of, you know, whatever celestial body is orbiting the star or the planet or whatever, if you connect a line between the orbited and the orbiter, the amount of time that it takes for that line to pass over an area and the amount of area that it passes through is equal no matter where in the ellipse that you measure, right? So, you know, you're further out away from the planet, it moves slower because there's more area between the planet and the orbiting body, right? If you're closer on the short side of the ellipse, you're moving quicker, so you're covering the same amount of area no matter where you are in the orbit. And the third is the orbital period squared. So the amount of time it takes to do a full orbit squared is directly proportional to the length of the semi-major axis of the orbit cubed. Which is very interesting, right?
Yeah.
So the longest radius in the ellipse cubed is directly proportional to the orbital period squared. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's, I mean, that it makes sense that the physics would line up like that because it is, you know, you're in the vacuum of space, and so you truly do have like a when you do physics problems in high school, that's the way you do them is through the vacuum of space.
Yeah,
and
in
so
the vacuum.
It makes sense that
Exactly.
you have these absurdly nicely matching relationships because the physics are perfect with no interference. I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
It
please.
it makes sense.
I'm
that's
100% down for interjections. This is a conversation, not a lecture, right?
Yeah. Word.
And then there's one more. Everybody knows this instinctually. Smaller orbit diameter, faster period, right? The closer you are, the closer you are to the sun, the quicker you go around it. Right?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so I want to talk about Jupiter a little bit. Jupiter and the sun. They have an interesting relationship. A lot of people don't know about this, but the sun and Jupiter are actually a binary system. So the sun, you know, everybody thinks that all the planets revolve around the sun, but Jupiter is so massive. You know, it's 318 times the weight. 318 times the weight of Earth.
Yeah,
right?
I know where this is going.
Yeah.
This is cool. Gravity affects both bodies.
Gravity affects both bodies, and what's really interesting is that the reason it's considered a binary system is because the barycenter between the sun and Jupiter is outside of the sun.
Oh.
It exceeds the surface of the
that's
sun. So the sun actually spins around a point that like the sun orbits the solar system.
There's a central point.
Yeah.
But because the sun is being pulled, the sun is being pulled by a massive planet.
Yeah.
Then it actually is moving outside of that center.
That's right. And the interesting thing is, you know, this barycenter isn't just about Jupiter and the sun. It's the center point of all the mass in the solar system.
Yeah.
So every single body in the solar system orbits around this barycenter. It doesn't orbit around the sun.
What's that word you're using?
Barycenter. It's Bary.
Barycenter. Okay.
Barycenter.
Yeah. Okay.
My whole school experience has been a lie.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
You're fucking
It's something you know, the other thing I kind of put in here is another way to think about it is, you know, you put the Jupiter over here and you put the sun over here. You know, if you put the fulcrum right underneath the sun, the side with Jupiter on it falls over. But if you move it just outside of the sun, then it's balanced, right? So it works just like a lever on Earth.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
There's one note I gotta say. I don't want to. As you reading for your notes, it's like every time I talk to you, Parker, it's like there's always like something new. It's like, God, I am so lazy in my life. I have nothing to add to this conversation.
Well,
this motherfucker every week has like 12 new topics. He just apparently had time to do while he's working. Maybe that's what he thinks about.
I'm an amateur researcher, man. What can I say?
Yeah. By all machining all those new parts, you're just thinking about the questions of the universe.
Yeah, dude, I've been fucking like listening to podcasts on fucking astrodynamics all week and shit, and reading articles. And it's been something crazy. So now I want to talk about the Milankovitch cycles a little bit of the Earth. So, you know, everybody knows, you know, the Earth spins once every 24 hours. It orbits the moon or orbits the sun once a year, right? And then
every 24 hours isn't right though. That's why we have leap years. All right, because all of those measurements are off just by a little.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll get to that.
You just
don't let facts get away with a good story here.
Sorry,
Galvin. Right though, because I was talking.
Sorry, Parker. You go ahead.
No, it's all good. Yeah, but I mean that's a good point. But yeah, I will get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, fucking. So you got what I say, rotation and orbit, right? And then you know, Earth's on a 23.5 degree tilt to the ecliptic, right? The plane of the orbit around the sun. That's what causes our seasons. And then, I guess the next one in line, a lot of people don't know is precession, right? So the Earth precesses like a top, right? You spin a top on the table, it's spinning really fast, but it's also wobbling in a circle as well, right? The Earth does that as well. It does that once every 26,000 years, 26 kiloyears.
Whoa.
And so basically what that means is in 13,000 years, summer solstice in the northern hemisphere will be in January.
Right.
Or in December, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when your compass gets all fucked because then no longer you can use the point to north. You need to point the other way.
Well, no, the magnetic field should stand.
It doesn't.
So is this another way I learned?
It doesn't, by the way.
It doesn't.
That's a whole other conversation.
I haven't dove into the magnetic field at all yet.
We're gonna go like three ways with this.
Yeah.
But no, in the next like 50 to 100 years, it's expected that the magnetic poles of Earth will flip.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I gotta look into that.
That's
an
Earth specific thing, though. I don't believe that's due to.
Well, also
any
Mercury has a magnetic field too, right? It's the only other planet in our system with a magnetic field, I believe.
John was gonna say something.
Oh, John.
No, I was getting worried. It was like when Parker said no, I was like, is this another lie I've been told during school? God, I've been failed in my educational system. But no,
they're unrelated. They're unrelated. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue talking.
So yeah, like I said, 13,000 years. Precession has done half a cycle, and so you know we'd be on the other side of the sun during the summer solstice as we are now, right? So it'd be, December 21st, summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. But the way we keep time actually counts for that. So in 13,000 years, summer solstice will still be June 21st, but that's because of the way we keep time. 1 year isn't the same place in the orbit. 1 year it accounts for precession, right? And that's where the leap year comes in.
This man is fucking with my mind.
That's what the leap year is for.
Very cool.
Yeah, every 4 years, 1 day, and that accounts for precession. Yeah.
Wow, that's really neat. I didn't know that it was that's what the accounting of the leap year was. I just thought we had come up with seconds, our base unit of measurement. We'd come up with seconds, but we weren't quite right when we did it.
Yeah.
And over time it compounds. But
well, I mean, you can make an argument for like, why didn't we just account for precession in like our normal timekeeping day to day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you make.
But
you
then
make
we
a
learned
second.
about precession later on, and we're like, we got to account for this, right? And then we added leap years.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
When were
interesting.
leap years added?
I have no clue. No idea.
I would like to know. Keep going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna track that
Okay,
down.
so the next cycle, which technically isn't a Milankovitch cycle, but it still affects the Earth, is Jupiter's gravitational pull on the Earth. There's a 100 kiloyear cycle, 100,000 years, that shifts Earth's orbit from circular into an ellipse and back. So right now, 2022, that's what we call the current time. Our orbit's like highly circular. It's not perfectly circular, but it's highly circular. Like, we're pretty much the same distance from the sun all year round, give or take, right? But every 100,000 years, it shifts into an ellipse and back. And so there's the 100 kiloyear cycle, and then there's also a 400 kiloyear cycle. And I do wish that I dove into it a little bit more, because I don't understand the actual mechanics behind that cycle yet exactly, but I have been reading into it, and it does appear that we agree as a species that Jupiter affects our orbit every 100,000 and 400,000 years.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So it was 1752.
1752 we added the leap year.
First introduction. And while we are still talking about these time measurements, this is just a little blurb from the Wikipedia page.
Sure.
The length of a day. So you've got leap years, which is the length of a year. The length of a day is also occasionally corrected by inserting a leap second into coordinated universal time, because variations in Earth's rotation period, unlike leap days, leap seconds are not introduced on a regular schedule because variations in the length of the day are not entirely predictable. So there is a small degree of randomness, of little bits of things floating through our solar system that might affect that a little bit.
Well, I was just getting into something similar there, Calvin. The next thing I wanted to talk about was
we're nerding so hard on this right now.
Is the slowing rotation of the Earth, right?
Yes.
So, I kind of scraped up the numbers today. Most people know that the Earth is slowing down as it spins, right? The moon slows us down. That's the friction force kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Where's the friction coming from?
The moon, tidal forces.
Just another
tidal forces. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
And just the gravitational pull as well, right? Because
gravity's frictionless. Gravity is it's not an interaction of physical interaction.
Yeah, it's tidal forces, but
two bodies.
Sorry, what I meant to say is that the tidal forces affect the land as well. It goes all the way through the Earth, right? It's not just water. The tidal forces.
We got to come back to this on next episode.
Okay,
I got to figure out how that works.
Yeah,
because gravity.
Well,
gravity alone is frictionless.
Right.
There has to be a movement. There has to be a movement for friction to occur. So
or at least a force.
The pulling of water makes sense, because now you're pulling water a certain direction.
Yeah.
And Earth is trying to spin in a mildly opposing direction, or whatever it is. That friction I could see over time would affect. But if there was no water, if it was just solid bodies, and there was no moving of particles due to that gravity, then there would be no friction. So
okay, and I guess
too hard of a tangent.
My rebuttal to that is why does the moon spin? Like, why is the moon's rotation the same as its orbital period? it's because of tidal forces from the Earth.
Well,
and there's no water on the moon.
There's most likely like a heavier part of the moon, no? Like maybe a more massive part. I don't know the answer. I'm only speculating here. We're gonna have to come back.
Anyway,
to this.
Take a look into it, Calvin. So
Oops, right though, because I was talking.
Oops, though, right? Yeah. Slowing rotation of the Earth is 2 milliseconds every century. A day gets extended by. So
right. That's not
every 100 years. You add about 2 milliseconds to the day.
Every 100 years, that's what it is per year.
No, that's a very small amount.
It is, but
I mean, Earth is heavy.
So let's scale it up, right? That's one fucking Jesus Christ. A day gets 1 second longer every 50,000 years. Day gets 1 second longer every 50,000 years, and then we scale that up again. In 4.3 billion years, a day on Earth will be 25 hours.
Right.
Yeah. So it does take a long time, but it's not nothing.
And
right?
at that point, there's some other things we're concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the sun is getting a little big at that point.
That's the last thing we need to worry about is the Earth slowing down. But it is an interesting metric, right?
Cockroaches taking over the Earth, that shit.
Yeah.
And now we get to the moon.
Oh boy,
the moon.
And this is probably my favorite topic out of all of them, the moon.
So quick, Parker, before you get too into this, do you believe there's a base on the dark side of the moon?
Probably not.
No.
I doubt it.
No, I conspiracy.
I don't think there is, but there could be.
Possible.
We got to leave the door open to these things. We can't shut them down right away. I don't see any strategic benefit to having a base on the backside of the moon.
Well, that's where they do all their secret experiments. I really got to come on next episode for all the conspiracy theories and just go ham.
Yeah.
And just melt minds.
I mean, the dark side of the moon would be a very good spot to hide stuff. But I think the opportunity cost, the amount of investment it would take to build a base on the back of the moon, even though it is a very good hiding spot.
Well, how do you even power it? Like, you'd have to go nuclear.
Well, yeah, and then the other thing is you could just dig a hole in a mountain, and that'd probably do just as well.
Yeah, on the bright side, not be stuck.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like a lot of overhead cost for
it seems
gain.
Economically unviable.
What is it that you gotta send to the dark side of the moon that you couldn't achieve here?
That's the true question.
That's the true. Yeah,
that's what we need to figure out.
You don't know what you don't know.
I can't rebuttal that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, we've definitely done some conspiracy talk on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we do like our conspiracies here for sure.
I'll come up with some hot new ones.
All right. On absolute lasagna of a conspiracy.
Just the most mind-bending ones I could think of.
All right, Parker.
Sorry.
Moon.
The moon.
Oops.
Yes, I love the fucking moon, man. The moon is so cool. So I'll start off with the moon by saying August 19th today, we entered the third quarter. I'm not sure what time, but so right now we're at about 46 to 45% illumination on the moon. About 45% of its body is illuminated by the sun, heading towards a new moon. Be there in about 7 or 8 days.
It's in the waning stage.
It's in the waning stage. It just switched from waning gibbous to waning crescent today. And the other thing that's interesting about the third quarter is that if you take the sun and the earth and the moon, the angle between the earth and the moon and the sun makes a perfectly 90-degree angle during the third quarter and also during the first quarter as well.
Very cool. Sorry, you said waning what?
Waning gibbous to waning crescent.
Croissant.
Yeah,
a lot of foreign terms there.
Sorry.
You're like, just repeat yourself for this meme right
so
now.
What was that? Yeah. What was that? Man, I gotta max it out, man.
Yeah.
He's really trying to hit all 19 this episode.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
I threw him off.
Oh yeah, completely.
No, we're chilling. We're chilling. So, the moon, you know, you got 4 phases of the moon. Everybody knows new moon, first quarter, full moon, third quarter, right? 28 days, about, you know, 27.3 for the orbital period, and 29.5 thereabout for new moon to new moon, full moon to full moon, that kind of thing. The reason for that is because as the moon orbits, we're also orbiting, and we orbit 12 degrees in a lunar, you know, in a lunar orbital period. Okay. So
you're lucky I don't have the. Have you ever you would? I'd be
you fucking
it again.
overused it so hard.
I'd be hitting it again, man.
Yeah.
Every time you
Calvin's
choke.
put himself in timeout. He's put the
every
laptop on the
every
table.
time you
Hey man,
choke.
these are very complex concepts.
They are.
Yeah, I
right?
know.
They are.
So I want to talk about the angles of the
doing
moon
great,
real
Parker.
quick. So the ecliptic plane, which is the plane that we orbit around the sun on, or the bare center of the solar system. So that is 23 degrees off of the tilt of the Earth, right? The moon's orbit is 5 degrees off the ecliptic. Right. So yeah, here's the sun, here's the Earth, and the moon is 5 degrees off that plane, right? 5.14 to be exact. And then, so our obliquity is 23.5 degrees. That's the tilt of the Earth. The moon's obliquity is 6.68 degrees, but it's the opposite direction from its 5-degree orbital tilt. And so the tilt of the moon in relation to the ecliptic plane is 1.54 degrees. And so what that means is, even though the same side of the moon faces us as it rotates, as it goes through the cycle, we're seeing a little bit of the top of the moon and then a little bit of the bottom of the moon, depending on when in the cycle.
It's kind of going
yeah,
like that
it kind of does that, right? And today, the moon is 399,055 kilometers from us. That's kind of ever changing. Moon's an ellipse. Orbits in an ellipse.
Yeah, true, because there are like blood moons, and you know, at certain points the moon is very close to Earth, and it is. Yeah. You can tell it, like, it's big. Yeah. You know, it's like a different. It's a different color, and it's there.
Well, the moon changes size depending on how far. Also wanted to talk about eclipses and what exactly is happening when there's an eclipse, right? So when there's an eclipse,
you talking lunar or solar eclipse?
It applies for both.
Okay.
So what happens is, because the moon's orbital plane is 5 degrees off of the ecliptic plane, the criteria for a lunar or a solar eclipse is that the moon passes through the ecliptic plane during a new moon or a full moon, and you get a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse respectively. And that's a very rare situation, right? Because most of the time during a new moon or a full moon, the moon is either below or above the ecliptic, right? Because of its 5-degree axis. So that's why we only get a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse every 18 months, is because, you know, it's pretty rare for those lines to line up absolutely perfectly at the perfect time. Did I already say you'll never see a new moon at night? I mean, that's pretty obvious for anybody who you know, has looked into the moon at all. But
you didn't say that.
No, this is new to me.
Yeah, you'll never see a new moon at night. It's impossible, because the sun and the moon are in the same spot in the sky, right? Yeah. Except for on a solar eclipse, then you'll see it. But
solar eclipses.
How often do those
happen during the day, though, right?
Yeah, it has to happen on the day because it's solar eclipse. Yeah. It happens once every 18 months on Earth, although in one specific spot, it's pretty rare. Like, we're talking like 60, 80 years for one specific spot. But every 18 months, somewhere on Earth, there's a solar eclipse.
Is it like closer to the poles, or is it closer to the equator?
I haven't recognized the pattern there yet. If you look at a map of the penumbral solar eclipses, it just appears to be fucking all over the map. It doesn't even really make sense. but I'll continue to look into that.
Thank you for your suggestion. We'll get back to you shortly.
We'll get back to you on that. For 34 to 48 hours around a new moon, it varies depending on. I'll get into how it varies. 34 to 48 hours, before and after a new moon, is completely invisible. It's just too close to the sun. You can't see it. So yeah, every the last 20, 24, 23 hours of the lunar orbit, and the first 23, 24 hours of the lunar orbit, you can't see the moon at all. So there's 1 or 2 days every month that you just can't see the moon. It's impossible.
Right. Makes sense.
Now I want to talk about declination, which is really interesting. I really don't think many people know about this at all. Declination.
The last 12 topics I have, school has failed me because I've never heard about these.
I'm following you, but there's also a lot of words you're using that I'm not familiar with.
Well, I'll describe what declination is.
Mm-hmm.
Declination is it's an 18.6 year cycle that the moon goes through, and basically what this cycle is so we talked about the 5-degree plane of the moon that kind of orbits with us in a way, right? So as we go around the moon or go around the sun, the orbit of the moon kind of tilts in towards the sun or away from the sun kind of with us. But every 18.6 years, that plane does a full rotation in relation to the sun. And so what that does is it changes the altitude of the moon in the sky. So with the 5-degree angle, at the maximum, it's called the major lunar standstill, which is, the other half of the 18.6 year cycle, right? There's 9.3 years between the minor and the major lunar standstills. The major lunar standstill, if you're at 28.5 degrees latitude and you look directly up, the sun will be there, or the moon,
Mm-hmm.
the moon will be above you. If it's in a minor lunar standstill, you have to go all the way down to 18.5 degrees latitude to have the moon above you. So So once every month, the moon goes below the equator and above the equator.
Yeah.
Right.
This makes sense.
Because
it's a similar effect to like our perspective with the sun if you are near one of the poles.
It's basically the same as seasons, but with like where the moon is. So once every month, it goes up and down the equator.
Mm-hmm.
But this 18.6 year cycle is the amplitude of that, right? So the major lunar standstill, the waves are like way bigger. It's going up, like way up into the north, way down in the south, and the minor, it's just kind of doing that. Mm-hmm. And the way you get 18.5 degrees latitude and 28.5 degrees latitude is because that's 23.5 plus or minus that 5 degrees, which is pretty interesting. And then
that's pretty neat.
The next, so we're headed towards a major lunar standstill, which will be in April of 2025.
Okay.
And the last minor lunar standstill was October of 2015. So we're getting close to the next major lunar standstill, and so that's why you look outside, like you could see the moon today and yesterday in Calgary, and it's quite high up in the sky. Like we're at 51 degrees north, and it's like it's almost overhead. Like it's pretty high up there, right?
That's cool. So you're saying like if you look at it like a sine wave, we're getting close to like
the maximum amplitude,
a peak or a trough of amplitude. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Really neat.
And then there's a diminution of the moon, which is also interesting. Diminution is a function of declination. This is what I was just talking about. And basically the phenomena, I didn't look into it enough to know how it works. Basically, for the last 1800 years, 1861 years, the moon's amplitude, like the shift in amplitude has been decreasing. And so it used to shift between 29 degrees and like 18 degrees, right? And now it's at 28.5 and 18.5. So the amplitude is decreasing. That sine wave function is decreasing over time in the last like 2,000 years.
Yeah. Very
What else do I have? That's about it. That's what I got on orbital dynamics. That's what I've learned so far.
That's very neat.
Yeah.
It's a somewhat similar conversation to the Lagrange points.
I was listening to a podcast today that really went in depth on Lagrange points. Yeah. And I learned quite a bit about them. Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool.
Cool. Yeah, because it's kind of the what you're talking about of the like something like a binary system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that, but instead of 2 you've got 3 now.
Yeah.
And you're balancing the gravitation between those 2 exterior ones to find a middle ground where their exponential gravity fields are perfectly centered.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit in that little pocket.
It's very interesting, and it actually defies like the first law of planetary motion, which is the closer you are to a body, the faster you'll orbit it, and Lagrange points completely defy that.
Why?
Because if you're in a Lagrange point, if you're in the L1 of any 2 bodies, the sun and the earth has Lagrange points. The sun or the earth and the moon have Lagrange points. Like any 2 bodies that orbit each other. If you're in that L1, which is between the 2 bodies, right? If you're in that L1, you'll orbit at the same speed as the outer body.
Very cool.
Which completely defies that first law, right?
Yeah. I would just like to know why.
Yeah. Because it's a gravitational well, I guess, right? Like you experience no acceleration within that Lagrange point.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing pushing you to orbit faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there is no increased acceleration due to gravity. That's cool.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah. Very word. We like space, as you can tell.
Space is fucking awesome, man.
Parker and I have spent a fair amount of time dealing in amateur space talk.
Yeah.
Space talk. Notes for next time.
It just completely enveloped me this week. I was like, literally, I've been spending like 2 or 3 hours a day, like researching orbital dynamics and astrodynamics. Like, it's very cool. It's an interesting subject, and I don't see myself stopping.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Slingshot. Gravity is another cool thing. I don't know if you
haven't looked into that.
Looked at that at all. It's a technique humans use to launch rockets into not rockets, but space projectiles further and faster into space.
Is that when you approach a body and you use its gravity to accelerate or slow down?
Yes. Yeah. But like both of the Voyagers use planets in our solar system as slingshots, where they sent it, which I mean is wild to me. The fact that you can intercept a body in such a precise way, that's so far away. This thing travels through space for like 4 months just to meet this planet at like an exact point. Just get in the right pocket of its gravity well and then activate some boosters and zip out the other side and fly out into space. It's
fucking cool, man.
It's very, very fucking cool. Yeah, man. That's cool. Hey, did you know that Colombia has a problem with invasive hippos because Pablo Escobar brought over 4 hippos in the 1970s?
No fucking way. Really? That's crazy.
Man. Yeah. So he brought over exotic hippos and smuggled them into the country, and there were 4 of them, and now there are 70 of them, and by 2040 there is predicted to be 1,500 invasive hippos in Colombia.
God damn.
Damn, they like to fuck, eh?
Well, I mean, it's a exponential growth rate, right? Because you go from 4 to 8, and then 8 to 16, and then 16 to 32. For sure. You go on. Yeah.
Well, one of the crazier ones I think I heard is about those wild hogs down in like Texas and whatnot. They're fucking up all the farms.
Ultra invasive,
Apparently that was started by Christopher Columbus with 10 pigs.
Really?
Now there's they're thinking like 6 million wild hogs just fucking up land in southern United States. I imagine Mexico too. It's just wild. It's like, yeah, you introduce a species that has no predator or just no way to be controlled, and it just goes wild.
That's crazy.
Goes ham.
There's something about fucking pigs where those things can be killed by anything. You don't want to fuck with a hippo. Those things are fucking scary.
They're pretty terrifying. Yeah.
Those things kill more people per year, I believe, than sharks and possibly even alligators.
They're very lethal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if a hippo attacks you, you're pretty much guaranteed fatality. It's funny because they were looking at castration as an option to prevent these hippos from repopulating.
Right.
Imagine trying to castrate a hippopotamus.
Yeah. You just got to, sneak up behind it and shotgun its dick off,
At that point, it's just going to be... It'd be easier to have a surprise lobotomy for the fucking thing. Why the fuck you're shooting the wrong head?
I'm just picturing a 12 gauge on a speed bag, just instant vapor.
You gotta sneak up behind the thing. You just pretty much tap the base the end of your fucking 12 gauge right against its sack and just
shotgun vasectomy on this hippo. Oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh man, you can maybe if you've got tranquilizer. I don't know how it is to tranquilize hippos. I feel like they'd probably need a significant like a Gatorade bottle's worth of tranquilizer to do anything to them. So. Yeah, man. Anyways,
you just gotta give it a fucking zip bag of fucking fentanyl.
Yeah.
You know what? If Colombia wants to really solve their problem, I don't know how endangered.
No, man. They're just gonna go. It's gonna go eat someone's face off.
Fentanyl? Not if you give it enough. It'll fucking.
That's not doing shit.
Bath salts.
That is bath salts. No, fentanyl's not doing shit to a hippo, man. That
you don't think so?
That hippo's gonna go up, meet Jesus, eat Jesus, and then come back and start eating other people. There's no way you could kill a hippo.
You don't think you could OD a hippo with fentanyl?
I guess how badly they want to get rid of it. I don't know how endangered hippos are. I don't think there's quite the black market for hippos, but
yeah,
just get a couple drunk, clean up the cocaine issue down there, and get a bunch of hunting enthusiasts. We'll get you in a helicopter. You can shoot as many of those fuckers as you want.
Mm-hmm. I feel like putting acid in their water or something like that would also be pretty effective. Give them a hero dose. Give something crazy to the hippos, and then they're all just gonna lay down.
I mean, they'd fucking start getting dehydrated too, for sure. Unless they like that shit. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you want to really give drugs to an animal that has with no idea how it's going to react?
It's fucking immoral, eh?
Well, what's
it is.
You guys heard the story about the Lexington bear?
I've heard. Okay, I haven't heard the story, but I've heard of the story.
So the Lexington bear
was
this bear. I really wish I could remember where in the United States it was.
Was it in Lexington?
This is during when Pablo's around, they're dropping cocaine all across the country.
Right.
And this bear apparently found one of these packages and ate the whole thing. And it died of a heart attack because it literally ingested so much cocaine it just fucking died. But they're
the Lexington bear.
30 to an hour. This thing was the apex predator on the fucking continent.
It was just
fucking maxed out of its fucking mind.
Guess where it was? Lexington, Kentucky.
God damn.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Imagine a fucking coked up bear.
A famous bear that died after eating $15 million in cocaine dropped from a plane by a drug smuggler.
Holy fuck.
It's
15 mil of cocaine. I don't know how much that is, but I feel like it's sizable. I wonder if we can get a weight here. Oh, yeah. Ate 76 pounds of cocaine. And loved it. So that its body was found in a driveway in Tennessee. 9 coke stuffed duffel bags were eventually recovered along the plane's flight path. But the bear was found. Oh, so no, that was the guy who was piloting the plane. I didn't read the article all the way. The cocaine bear was found 3 months later in the woods just south of the Tennessee-Georgia state line, sprawled next to a ripped open 10th bag. All of its coke, about 76 pounds, was gone.
Ooh. Whoa,
Could
man.
you imagine the moments before death?
Imagine just being the poor fucking hiker that goes along and you see this bear just hauling ass towards you.
You see the bear doing the
He's like knocking his bottle and shit.
Like, I wish. Is there a way I can
rave bear?
Directions.
That's pretty sweet.
That's also kind of sad in a way too, that the fucking bear killed itself from cocaine.
Died from cocaine. Yeah, it is.
It's kind of like the saddest way for an animal to die.
Saddest?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so?
humans fucking with it. And you can't.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly,
nature on nature, but that's nature.
But okay, so you say sad. Is it because of the way that we have stigmatized cocaine? Because humans are responsible for deaths of animals all the time. Is it just cocaine that makes that uncomfortable?
I think what makes it sad is that the bear, succumbed to his addiction.
Where
True, he couldn't stop. He was like 40
another
pounds.
addict.
He's 40
He fucking
pounds gone.
OD'd, bro. That's a sad fucking story, man.
3/4 of the way through that bag.
Yeah.
Where did he die?
Just Lexington, Kentucky. That's a hard one to say.
He died just outside
Lexington, Kentucky. Yeah.
I thought you said the border. I was like,
yeah,
between
didn't you say the
Tennessee and
border?
Kentucky. That's where the plane crashed, or they caught the guy. Because I was like, God damn, this bear went on a. I was like,
he pulled it up on the maps.
How far is this to the border? 119 miles.
Yeah.
This bear was just terrorizing neighborhoods and fucking up like.
Fucking bear takes a bump, puts the duffel bag on his back, and starts fucking headed for the border. New freedom.
People thought they saw Bigfoot. This guy's just hauling on his hind legs. Just got the arms going too.
Oh fuck, dude, that's hilarious.
A bear with a white face is ravaging the local preschool.
See him with his paw just going.
He loves it. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I dig the cocaine bear. I mean, sure, it's a little sad, but also pretty epic way to go.
Yeah, legendary way to go. 15 million down up the nose.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Wait, so that was 10 bags. 10 bags they dropped. That's $150 million worth of cocaine.
Pablo Escobar,
that
bro.
was dropped. Yeah, 7th richest man in the world at one point in his life.
Guy had fucking 400 million in cash in his fucking bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It filled up the
and that's
whole
just
room.
in his bedroom. They were burying money.
Yeah.
Hey? They had so much they didn't know what to do with it that they were just digging holes and burying it. Yeah. A bunch of it rotted.
There's that story that either the money
You want a beer, Calvin?
Rats eat
Do I want a beer? I'm good, man. But thank you.
Like either rats ate it rot, or like. Well, it's still a thing today that fucking farmers down in Colombia, they be milling their land and they hit a fucking stash of Pablo's fucking money.
Yeah.
And there's that story, he burned a couple million to keep his daughter warm when he was on the run?
Yep. That too. That's a scene at one of the scenes in Narcos.
The only
good show.
Like just amazing scene. I don't know the authenticity of it. If just knowing Pablo, I believe it's true. He's really posed up in front of the White House.
Yeah, there is a picture of him in front of the White House.
I don't know how. I presume it's real because that man has balls of fucking steel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like most wanted man on this earth, sitting right outside, just flipping permits to president.
Yeah, Parker, do you know that image?
No.
That's Pablo Escobar, as like FBI's and DEA's most wanted list, standing in front of the White House with his son, taking a photo.
That's perfect.
Yeah, man. We're going to have to get that.
That guy's fucking gnarly, eh?
Dude, I mean, legitimate, like, genius kind of thing, you know? It's like kind of the perfect storm, you know, where he's in there with people like Hitler and, you know, some of the, like, geniuses that do very unethical things. You know, it's like he obviously is, like, an unbelievably intelligent man. Who is broken somewhere to, you know, be driven to do certain things.
I wouldn't put the guy that makes people bump low cocaine up the guy who iced about 6 million Jews, but that's just personal. That's his personal preference.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm
not saying he's not evil, but
the
difference for sure.
The people who died in cocaine related deaths and narcos related deaths in Colombia, is got to be getting into pretty unethical territory as well. It may not be Holocaust numbers, because that was 12 million, not 6 million.
That
it was just
some...
the Jewish. I shouldn't say Jews. Yeah. It sounds derogatory. The Jewish population was 6 million. It was 12 million in total. But I mean, the number of deaths caused by cocaine, and the guy who had absolutely no issues with it. The guy got raided one night in his home by the DEA, and his family was there, and they almost got caught, and he had to run away with like almost nothing, and he orchestrated a bombing the next day in like downtown I can't remember which
Bogota.
It wasn't Bogota. It was another one. Is it Bogota or Bogota?
I don't know.
I've always heard Bogota, but can't remember the city. There's a city, the one that they were like the biggest in, his branch of the Narcos, and like it was like a week or two before school started, outside like a main shopping center, and he set off a massive car bomb and killed like 250 innocent people because the DEA was coming after him. So maybe not gonna go quite as far as Hitler, but he's definitely in the same category in terms of sadism.
Yeah,
and psychopathy.
He's on the league. He's just not one of the MVPs of all time.
True.
Sure.
True. He's not.
Yeah.
He's on the list, but
I mean, we got to put Genghis Khan as
definitely
top G all time.
Top G
Number
true
high value male.
True environmentalist. He dropped the population by 25%.
Yeah,
he really saved the earth a couple of years sooner.
It's something like it's like 45% of like the male population are direct descendants of Genghis Khan or something like that. I can't remember the number, but that man was laying. I mean, he decreased the global population significantly, but in the long term,
he was laying and he wasn't asking.
He is the Godfather.
It's kind of fucked up, man.
We owe it to Mr. Khan.
Jeez, eh?
Yeah, man. But no, Pablo Escobar was a pretty horrible human. Man.
Yeah, sure.
Different capacities than Hitler, but
I know I make that joke, but they're all fucked up. It's just what level of fucked up we're going to.
I mean, like at least like the one thing is with the cocaine deaths. I mean, those aren't deliberate murders, right?
You're selling death, but it's
I mean, you're still causing death by supplying the drug that's killing people, but I mean, there's got to be a difference there, right? Morally speaking.
Sorry.
Like cold hard, just like stabbing someone in the throat and selling them coke that they OD on. Like, there's got to be some difference there, right?
We don't get pissed off at Jack Daniels or selling people whiskey.
I mean, yeah, there you go.
Fucking kills people.
Yeah, lots of people die from alcohol every year, and we got a liquor store on every corner.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
Yeah,
that is a fair point. I mean, I have lots to say about that, but
sure, please.
I mean,
come on, we gotta.
That's just it's a long conversation,
right?
But, I mean, alcohol is just so strangely promoted.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think we may have touched on this on the pod already. Have we?
Maybe I want to say maybe episode 2.
Yeah, it was earlier on.
We talked about it.
It's shocking that alcohol is the one legal drug.
It is quite strange
because how fucked up people get. I saw something it reduces your long term and mid term kind of judgment and only short term gains.
Yeah, it's bad for your body. People do bad things. People do bad things on it. Driving drunk is still a very common thing in a lot of parts of the world, and so many people die from it. It's extremely addictive. It's extremely addictive and actively destructive as well.
Yeah.
So if that addiction becomes real, it has tremendous implications on your health and your life. It's so widely accepted and promoted. You're at a hockey game and it's sponsored by alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you should be doing this while you're here.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to have alcohol while you engage in this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like promoted to a very bizarre
Which
level.
is strange, yeah.
It is. Do you guys have a theory as to why that's the case?
Well, I think it makes sense to me because if you look at it from a health standpoint, a safety standpoint, alcohol is like the worst drug we could have ever picked.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it from a social standpoint and from a mental and emotional standpoint, how it makes us feel and how it makes us interact with each other, I think it makes perfect sense that we chose alcohol.
I feel like a corporate / production standpoint also can be factored in.
Right.
Look at some of those big beer companies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of money in that, and it's relatively inexpensive to make. So I feel like that probably does play a part in it as well.
Yeah.
I think the probably biggest part of it was like, I guess maybe I'm going way the fuck back. There's probably more recent things, but when you got plagues going around, you can't drink the water, but you can drink the wine.
True. It has been culturally involved for a long time, but so have other things.
Yeah, no, but it's like when you can't drink, you can't trust the water, but you can trust the alcohol because it's killed.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
You need to have something that you can safely consume.
Mm-hmm.
But
so, I think the reason alcohol is accepted over a lot of the other things that are not accepted is the war on drugs and everything that happened with
right.
You've got prohibition, and then prohibition is taken away, I think there was a lot of social influences when these things were going on. Racism was definitely still widely accepted and rampant, you've got increasing aggression, increasing crime rates, all of these problems, and you got to start blaming it on something, because you go to prohibition, and then it doesn't change, and so you bring it back and it continues to get worse, and then you go, okay, well, we obviously need another victim, we got to blame this on something, and then you look at drugs, you go, oh, who is doing the most drugs? Well, at the time it was typically societally marginalized groups.
Marijuana.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Was black people, we don't like them, and they smoke cannabis. They're the ones doing weed,
right?
And so obviously that's the problem. Make that shit illegal right now, because that's what the black people are doing, and so it's inherently bad.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and then adds up with a big stack of other things, and then it becomes a truth where the generation above us, 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is, they simply don't know any better because the government just told them.
Yeah.
And it's not like they could listen to podcasts of free thinkers, free thinkers talking about the reality of this stuff. It's like this is all they knew. This all the information there was what the government told them. It's what was coming in through primitive versions of television. It's what was coming through in books or anything. The information access was a lot lower, and so all it took was a couple of people with vendettas against certain cultures to then group drugs into those cultures and say, these are obviously the problems. Lock them all up, criminalize it all, get rid of it. But alcohol's not the problem because we've already been through prohibition and it didn't do much. So don't worry about alcohol. Plus, we like to drink.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. And so lawmakers can go ahead with all of this, and that's all it took. And now you've got an entire Western civilization convinced that this stuff is wrong, and then that's all they know, and that's still the case where a lot of these people are still alive and are not at a point in their lives where they're really necessarily willing to change their minds.
Man, that's such an interesting point of view. That makes a lot of sense. And quick side note, how fucking incredible is it that our communications are so good now that the government can't fool us anymore?
It's pretty.
Isn't that
fucking
fucking
sweet,
incredible?
Man. Yeah.
That's
no,
so cool.
I love it, man. The platform that people like Lex Friedman.
Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan, of course.
Yeah. There's these groups of superior intellectuals that have information that is true and science based and understood, that the government can't get in the way of. Now, there is such thing as censorship, and
with such thing as echo chambers too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other problem.
That's
right?
the danger.
Yeah.
Of all this
it's
speech.
such a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Like as much as it's great, it's
no matter what
too.
opinion you have, you can find someone who agrees with you.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
like definitely like Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan. I think Lex Friedman's a little more intelligent than like Joe Rogan, but it's the opportunity they have to bring people on that are truly intelligent in their field they have. Yeah. And it's just a great opportunity to spread knowledge, and it's not going to be biased, like their opinion. They don't care who you are for the most part. You get knowledge, and you can make your own decision on what you think is right and what's wrong.
I mean, you can also make a conscious effort to avoid said echo chamber as well.
Yeah, you can.
If you're aware of it, if you know it's there, you can be cognizant of that and make sure that you are listening to people who you don't necessarily agree with.
Looking for counter evidence, right?
Yeah, it's so important.
Definitely important.
And it's also massively lacking. People don't.
It is.
People don't. The brain naturally avoids discomfort, and so why would you want to hear someone who's disagreeing with you? If you're scrolling through Instagram, you want to be going, "Oh hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about."
I think that'll be the next evolution of our like mindset, right? Because like we just kind of recently were all like, hey, like social media is bad, right? Like social media is bad. We all kind of just finally came to that realization as a species. And I think probably the next one is going to be echo chamber related.
Because why would you?
I mean, it's at least a possibility.
Why would you want to feel like you're wrong? Because you feel so shit, and you're like, well, fuck you. I'm not wrong. You're wrong. And it's such a bad situation to be like. I think if you can take you on the chin, and also I feel like sometimes with conversation with people, if you have the wrong person trying to teach you what maybe they believe is right, it's not about teaching, it's about proving that it's not teaching why it's right, it's proving why they're wrong. And when you put someone on the back foot like that, it's super hard for them to come out. But if you kind of give them a pathway, well, this is why I think this, they may come out like, well, you know what, I think you're right on that. Like,
fuck, man, we get so defensive as people. Like we are defensive as fuck. Humans.
It's a skill.
You can get better at it, sure, but like by default, I think most people are super defensive.
I feel like people that try their best not to be defensive in the back of their minds, just like
it just happens. It's a thing, right? Yeah.
I find I'm more defensive around certain people.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
I think that plays a part in it as well. Sometimes you get tired of someone's bullshit.
Yeah.
And you're just naturally, you're like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Right now.
I think the problem is also you just can't be honest with persons. Like if you, I find myself like I don't know if it's even socially. It's just like you have to bite your tongue. You can't say like, the fuck did you just say? Like, are you?
Yeah, true. I mean, you face the vocal majority. I won't even say majority. The vocal collective narrative that may come after you for the way that you feel.
Like I feel like a lot of time you like. Well, going back to like even social media, like the people. The sad part is the people screaming the loudest right now aren't the majority.
That's true.
That's why I corrected
fringe,
myself on majority there. Yeah,
it's just like a super fringe minority. It's like 90% of people all agree like roughly about the same things. Like you know what?
Do not use gendered language.
Yeah.
It's just like most people, they don't.
That's Calvin Vergowan, everybody. Very good Vergowan.
But just like most people don't give a shit about a lot of this stuff. They just like, do they really care about like what's going on? Like, and most people just want to pay their bills, be able to do their hobby, and like trying to get into the other world is just a fucking nightmare. And so it's like there's a big group, but there's these people that are just so unhappy with their life, and maybe they're these people that just stay inside all day in Japan. Like they're just our version of these introverts that just sit in their basement and just are pissed off the world, and they want to take it out because no one else should be happy.
I encountered a human like that recently. For my own good, I can't get into any specifics. It's no one who would be listening to this, but probably a connection of a connection. So I'll stay pretty surface level with it. But I did have an experience with one of those people where you could tell that they were a generally resenting person, filled with lots of negative emotions, negativity, and
neurotic, so to speak.
Yeah. It was just like they were very much so looking for a problem. It's I refer to the style of person as problem humans, and that's probably a bad thing to say. But that truly
there's some truth to it, though.
That is how I feel, because there's a level of civility where if I don't agree with what someone is saying, I just go, you know what, that's okay.
Yeah.
You feel the way that you do, and I'm okay with that. But this person was very not okay with anything outside of their own, and it was like very narcissistic approach. So like consistent victimizing of the self. Every negative thing was somehow tied in as like a personal aggression,
right?
On this individual. So there are people like this. You meet them from time to time where it's just they don't let anything slide through. They can't let a disagreement go as just a disagreement. They have to have the win over you, and they have to make you feel bad about the way that you're thinking, make you feel like you're doing something wrong because you're not agreeing with them.
Because the disagreement is a direct attack on what they believe.
Yeah.
And they're just spoiling for a fight the entire time.
It just take it personally, right? It's like, it's almost as if how I feel is like directly an attack on that individual. If we're having a conversation and you present an idea, and I'm sitting here going,
not sure about that.
Not sure about that. But like whatever. I'm gonna say what I have to say in a rebuttal to that. Because that's what conversation is. Yeah. But I'm not gonna feel like I'm harder done by it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing that. But there is that kind of promoted, I won't even say promoted, but definitely more visible subsection of the population.
Oh yeah.
That behaves in such a manner.
Yeah.
Where it's just okay now to be like that. You're okay to be, a miserable human, and you can take it out on the rest of the world. I don't love it. I'm not there for it.
Well, and I feel like that's the majority of people who are online. Yeah, Calvin, we got to wrap it up here. It's about go time for me.
Yeah, true.
So
Damer Gamer is
Damer Gamer has arrived. Shout out to Damer the Wendigo Gamer. Throwback to episode 2, baby. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Put a bookmark in this. I'll come back and we'll have continuous conversation.
You're welcome back anytime, Jon Mosher.
You let me know when.
Yeah, man. We've definitely got some.
Put you behind the scenes on how you get booked for this podcast. You pretty much get put a gun to your head and told, this is the day you're showing up.
This is the day. This is the time. Be there or be square, bud.
All right.
Well, thank you, boys, for having me on. This was actually
thanks
a fucking
for coming
hoot. I was worried I was not going to talk at all this whole time, and I wouldn't shut up for the last about 20 minutes here.
You're good, pal.
Man just needed some neutrals.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right.
Lube up the singing, boys.
Call it in.
Yeah.
Soundboard out.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.